Regarding SAP history, there is a separate site which has been launched by SAP. So you can use this particular link to get all the details. But here, what I'm going to tell you is, there were five people from IBM who left the IBM company and started SAP. So in 1975, this was their SAP logo. Initially, it was there. Starting from there until the recent, they have come up with something called Rise with SAP. Rise is basically this enables the customers who are presently on SAP ECC and S4 HANA to bring them onto the cloud platform, and also they have got additional products which help the customer to benefit from it. So this is the latest which SAP has come up with. So regarding this, I've given this particular link wherein this can be used to get more details regarding Rise. Now let me go through the brief history of SAP. SAP was founded in the early 70s. Then later on, it had all these basic revisions, R1, R2, R3. For many years, people used SAP R3. Then there was a MySAP technology which came in, and then which was later on renamed as MySAP ECC. And then they came up with other additional software components for SCM, PLM, CRM, and so on. And in between, they also had something called for integration of web applications. They had something called a ITS server. That many people may not be knowing it, but later on, then they came up with the Java stack in the SAP NetWeaver software product. Later on, after Business Suite 7, presently we are working on S4 HANA. People who have migrated from ECC, they are on S4 HANA. So this is the present status. And S4 HANA comes up with different revisions and versions, etc. Any SAP software comes up with many modules. The standard modules are shown here. For example, SD is the sales and distribution. Materials, MM is the materials management, PP is the production planning, QM is quality management, PM is plant maintenance, HR is human resources, FICO is finance and costing, asset management, project systems, and there are modules which are specific, to the industry. For example, there is something called IS Oil, or there is something for banking. So these specific modules, if you want, you can purchase it from SAP, and then you can install it. And this particular slide shows that all these modules can be used only if you have a basis team and an ABAP team in place. So then the SAP Basis forms the basis. It's the core of running all these modules on servers. So basically, all these modules are nothing but the software which runs on servers. And servers, basically, you could have different operating systems, different databases, and different kinds of capacities. You could have a small server which is running the demo server, they call it the IDES. And you could have a large production system with additional application servers and a lot of resources like CPU and memory. So it depends on the server capacity, etc. So basically, this slide shows that SAP Basis forms the core of the entire SAP systems which are running in any organization. Maybe it is banking, manufacturing, or a process industry or a service industry. So SAP Basis is the core. There are two different types. One is online transaction processing. That is what SAP is. Like you do a transaction in, let us say, the production planning module, wherein you are entering the production status as of any time. then in the backend it gets updated in the MRP, let's say, or it also creates an entry in the finance. So this is online transaction processing, and the same data is later on used for the slicing and dicing in the business warehouse system. Okay, so in the business warehouse system, what happens is the data from the OLTP system, or for example the ECC system, is taken um, uh, through RFCs and background programs into a OLAP system, wherein it can be used to analyze and take decisions. Basically, OLAP systems are used by top management teams or the top management finance teams to make all decisions. Okay, so that is in brief. I would like to tell you regarding the SAP system, wherein it's a OLTP system, wherein everything is online, and one particular transaction will affect across all other modules. For example, you pass a finance entry, it will also affect the costing part of it. Or if you enter a sales order, it will also affect the production status. Like it will check whether the materials are available. Then it will also check whether there is a shortage of material. And so basically, that's the point what I want to stress here. Now the present status is that most of the customers are migrating to S4 HANA, and it has got a new front end which is called the Fiori app, and these are different apps which are in the form of tiles. So you can access these Fiori apps using your mobile phones, tablets, laptops, etc. Okay, so that is what it comes up with. Business Suite consists of all the applications, and HANA platform is basically since there is no support from Oracle now, so SAP has developed their own database. They call it HANA, and this is in-memory computing, wherein the entire because of HANA, what has happened is the performance of the system has dramatically increased. So whatever is accessed, earlier the data used to be taken from the disk. It is we had to read the data. The system used to read the data from the disk, and from the data, the disk, it used to go into the cache, and then it used to be given to the user. Now it is directly accessed from the memory. So they call it in-memory computing, and this is a new database which has been developed by SAP themselves. So because of this high performance, everyone is preferring this. So new customers who want to implement SAP, uh, they start off with S4 HANA only. So that gives them the advantage of using the latest digital technology. I mean, you can say the mobile interfaces and the tablet interfaces, etc. And also the performance is good. This was the earlier typical installation where, like I said, there is a processor, you have a memory, you have the cache, you have the RAM, and then you have the hard disk drive. So every time the data is asked, or there is a request which comes in from the user, uh, it goes through RAM. If the data is available in the RAM, then it is immediately given to the user. But if it is not available, then it has to be selected from the database, okay, through some SQL command or so on, and then that comes into the RAM, and then it is provided to the user. That this is a typical installation. But after migration to S4 HANA, what happens is everything comes into the RAM. Okay, just for taking backups, then this particular memory is used. Basically, either you take a backup on the hard disk or on the tape drive. So that is what is auxiliary memory used for now. So basically there is now this particular interface has been removed. So once the user requests some data, it will come directly from the RAM, and this is very fast. So this gives the user a very good experience of accessing their applications. Earlier, otherwise, it used to take a lot of time, and performance was an issue. This screenshot I've taken of the Fiori interface. This is the user interface which is available in the Fiori app. So there are different types of apps which you can decide to give it to particular user. This comes in users and the authorizations part of it, wherein you can assign different groups and different tiles to different users. So depending on the specific user, for example, if he is from say sales and distribution, then we can assign him only the sales tiles. And let us say he's from say materials, and we can assign him the materials tiles, etc. So this way, authorizations part, the security team takes care of this particular user interface. So depending on that, he gets only those tiles on his particular device, either laptop or mobile or tab, whatever he is using. So this is a typical tiles Fiori interface which we have. Like I said, there are different SAP modules, finance and costing. This is very important because this is widely used by our finance teams across, where all the organizations. It is very important, and this this is very important since we all appreciate that finance is the backbone of any organization. Then comes the production and planning module, wherein this takes care of the manufacturing setup. Whenever order is entered, there is the entire planning has to be done about the finished product. So each finished product has got their own bills of materials, and depending on the bills of materials, it will plan the requirement, and as per the present inventory, it will plan for requisitions, and these requisitions will then be will get converted into purchase orders and so on. So this particular part is related to production and planning. The sales and distribution part is there. If you have got organization which has got multiple branches, so people can enter sales orders, different types of sales orders. You could have made to stock or made to order kind of a scenario, or you could be a service industry where you will enter a service order. So the sales and distribution part takes care of that, and also you will have regarding sales and distribution. So you would also like to have MIS regarding that. For example, what are the sales for a particular month, for a week, and so on. So those things are also available, and the invoicing part, how much, whether the regarding sales or a particular sales order, whether the sales order has been is complete or is partially complete, and what is the whether the invoicing has been done, and so on. And it takes care of all the taxation part of it also, like the recent TCS kind of thing. Then it also takes care of the barcoding part of it when the invoice is being generated. All the mandatory, the government related this thing, or it takes care of that. Then we come to the materials management. This takes care of all the material, raw material which is coming into the factory. So so whatever against the purchase orders, whatever materials are coming in, so it takes care of that. So once the purchase order is created, then you have different schedules in it. So as per that schedule, the material keeps coming into the factory. So that can be managed from here. You can the material code design. There are different types of statuses which are available, wherein for a particular material, There are different kinds of views which are available, wherein that is populated by the finance department, by the production department, by the design department, by the sales department. So you got different sales views, etc. And this can be, this is again, there is a part of security system which takes care of who should be doing which view. For example, the finance team will be doing, will be populating part of the materials management view. For example, the design team will be updating, let's say, the version management. If there is a design change, so they will be updating the design part of it. Then comes the ABAP team. The ABAP team is basically involved in generating different kinds of reports as per the management requirements. SAP standard reports are available, but still in many organizations, people would like to have their own kind of reports or reporting. So you will find a BAP team which is working on these reports. Addition to these, ABAP is also involved in the BW interfaces, because the BW, the BW, as I said, the business warehousing, even there is a lot of reporting which is required. So this team itself, in many of the organizations, this team itself supports that function as well. Basically, it is support. The main support is required by the finance team. So, and ABAP team is also required whenever you additional SAP nodes are being implemented, or when there is a migration from one system to another, and you need to modify the user exits and so on. User exits in the sense, SAP provides you exits in the sense, a place in their own source code where you can modify their source code as per your requirements. So the ABAP team is required when such large projects are being implemented. Then comes the warehouse management. This again is implemented by wherever there is a warehouse management is required.